Hello friends, it's Katie Rubin, your friendly neighborhood modern mystic, energy healer, divine light channel. How the hell are you doing? I've opened the Akashic records today of consciousness itself, and I've asked it to give me a 3-card spread for the people who will benefit the most from it, which is you, the folks who will watch and who are watching. So thank you for being here and watching. I have it here. Let's dive right into it today. I'm in the mood. Let's just hop in. Actually, no, I'm going to say this. Consciousness, right, is the realm from which everything springs. So the realm of consciousness contains infinite possibility. From the realm of infinite possibility comes all possibility. So when I'm dropping into the Akashic records of consciousness, what that means is I'm dropping into, you could sort of say, the history of consciousness. It's like in consciousness, one thing that happens is this thing called spirituality. And spirituality is interested in keeping track of the journey of a soul, or the journey of an energy, or the journey of a consciousness over time. Consciousness itself is the space from which even spirituality arises. So when I go into the Akashic records of consciousness, it's kind of a funny idea. I'm asking to be connected with the entire history of consciousness and to have access to it. Because I'm a human being and I'm this human being, I need an entry point. So for me, entering a conversation with consciousness through something called the Akashic records, that's my entry point. Now, some people are evolved enough that they can just go, okay, I'd like to talk to consciousness now, go. And then you just have access. And perhaps I'll be that person at some point. But right now, I use the Akashic records as my entry point to your soul. If you have a reading with me or a healing session, or if we do your human design chart. And I do it with consciousness. It's how I do it. So everything I do through the Akashic records, at least in terms of my energy work, my healing work, my spirituality work. So that's just a little bit of intel about how this whole thing operates. If you're curious to learn more, check out katierubin.com, scroll down the main page, and it tells you more about what are the Akashic records and how do I work and where did I train and how many years of study have I engaged in. And the answer is many. 3 healing schools, 4 years each, and 45 years of experience playing with consciousness. So that's what that is. I'm still in reaction a little bit to someone the other day who said, oh, what are you, like a fortune teller? And I was like, bye. We're not having this conversation, because if that's where you're starting, I got nothing for you. But it is irritating when people can't take seriously that which comes from an expanded realm of consciousness. It's irritating as fuck. Like what I want to say from my comedic egoic response is, that's the best you got, dumbass? But I don't. Instead, I just go, no, that's not what it is. Anyway, look at the sun shining and how's your day? Change the subject, put the focus on them. Which, by the way, that's a perfect segue into today's reading. If ever somebody's asking you something idiotic or you're caught in a conversation you don't want to be in, here's the best tool for how to get out of it without totally offending them. Ask them about themselves. Human beings love to talk about themselves. So if you're like, yeah, no, not really. Hey, how was that game the other night? Or hey, how's your mom doing? Ask them genuinely from your heart about something in their life. And they will stop bothering you, because people just really want to have their own point of view and talk about themselves. Except for people who don't. But most people really do. So that's a little tip for you. All right, here's your spread. In the recent past, we've had something to do with the Golden Palace. I love the Golden Palace card. You're going to love it too. In the present moment, we're sitting in some kind of unknown. And the outcome is interesting. It's the rock bottom card upside down. So let's look at what the hell is happening here. Another thing to know about when I'm in the Akashic records of consciousness is my intuition and perceptive abilities, psychic awareness, are highly attuned. And I can hear and receive and perceive all kinds of shit. So now is a good time, if you feel like it, to pop a question in the chat right here. If you want to say hi and let me know you're here. If you have a question about your life, I might just be able to look at that for you right now. Golden Palace. This is the recent past. There is always enough. The Golden Palace card represents good fortune, ambitions fulfilled, wealth, and prosperity. It may also indicate emotional fulfillment, as perhaps you're entering a time of happiness that is long overdue. The message here is that self-worth isn't measured by what you have, no matter how abundant your life is. Instead, it comes from what you are, how authentically you're living your life, and how much love you're willing to share. Granted, receiving this card does indicate material gain and a furthering of tangible rewards, but things come and go, and knowing your true value leads to even greater riches now. Share the wealth. So authenticity being the sort of like hallmark, you could say, of actual abundance. It's not about what you have. It's about who are you being? I'm a big fan of this. Somebody today who was chatting with me has started a conversation with me listing the power and influence they have over whatever, some kind of people they're connected to, and it was supposed to impress me. And then they tried to undo that by saying, I don't mean this to sound opportunistic or to try to impress you. Sure they did. I just mean it as an acknowledgement of, it helps to have influence. And that is true. It does help to have powerful connections and influence. But when you're identified with the value of your power and influence, when you think that's who you are, that's when we're going against the energy of something like this. In other words, true abundance comes from, this card is talking about in any case, that abundance has to do with who we're being. So are you offering what you have to the world? Are you satisfied with your work? Do you like your life? Are you living in integrity for you? Are you living authentically for you? Or are you climbing some kind of perceived ladder that society has decided matters, which it fucking doesn't, and valuing yourself determined or based on where you are on that imaginary ladder? Here's the thing. Let me be clear. I'm not saying don't climb ladders. Like, we want success in this life. Climb all the ladders you want, but understand your placement on the ladder is not who you are. And it's not where your value comes from. Your value comes from the fact that you exist. Your value, your experience of your own value comes from whether or not you're living in integrity for yourself. You can have all the cars and all the status and all the money in the fucking world and feel like an empty vessel and feel lonely and like you're lost and have no idea what life is about. I've seen this a lot. I've experienced it myself directly. It's how I've learned that the only thing that really matters is, do I feel good with the choices I'm making? Do I actually feel fulfilled, satisfied, happy, content with who I'm being? Not just what I'm buying or what I'm creating or what other people think of me or what level of status I have or don't have. Again, that's not a message to not pursue status. It's who are you being inside of your status? What do you actually value? You might want to look at it, because if you're lacking a sense of esteem, this is where the 12-step saying of it's an inside job becomes pretty relevant. So somehow in the recent past, you've had the Golden Palace of Abundance, something to do with integrity and or actual financial riches. Good for you. And in the present moment, we're in a bit of the unknown. Let's hear what Colette Baron-Reid has to say about that. Trust, and all will be revealed. Life is an adventure, and often new opportunities will arise that you won't know how to deal with. This is one of those times. You're required to trust that this new phase will reveal wonders and miracles as you step into unknown territory. Imagine that you are not only a pathfinder, but a path maker. Whatever your inquiry, trust that you'll be safe. Stay aware as you discover new and marvelous territories and valuable treasures. Oof, I love that. So it's like in the recent past, the universe has provided some abundance, both internally and externally. And it's saying to you, now take a risk. You're jumping into the unknown at this moment, but don't worry. You are protected. You are safe. You will have what you need. The outcome is the rock bottom card reversed. Very interesting spread here because it's a little dynamic. Let's see what this says and we'll talk about it. Reversed. This card is the symbol for addiction in all forms, subtle or obvious. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results will never provide you with what you desire. At this moment, there is nowhere else to go, and you're facing the end of the road. If you fear change, be willing to change. Surrender your wants to a higher power. Ask for truth and allow humility to be your guiding force from within. Interesting that humility is like the theme in this spread. This card is actually talking about the humility of what real and true abundance actually is. And this card is saying, all right, we got to be humble so we can hit rock bottom with whatever addiction we're engaged with and change it. If you fear change, be willing to change. Surrender your wants to a higher power. Ask for truth and allow humility to be your guiding force from within. You will always get what you need. You are only a victim of your perceptions. Take heart, because you can't sink any further. Oh boy. The only way to go from here is up, and wondrous things await you. What a dynamic ass spread. I want to say this about this spread, and then we're going to review it in a second. Remember that we're still in a Mercury retrograde, and that the retrograde doesn't end until the 18th of January. So we've got a few more days inside this retrograde. Things are wonky in a retrograde, but let's look at the deeper meaning and remember the deeper purpose of a retrograde. Okay, retrogrades are about having another opportunity to review what here's the dog. Let's review the dog. This is Squeezel the dog. She's the very best dog of all dogs. I know you may think that your dog is cool. I'm sure it is. But if you're wondering who the best one is, jokes. So, right. Retrogrades are a time to look at again, review, look again at our choices. The choices we're thinking of making, the choices we've already made, the choices we've made in the past, all the choices we make. It's not just about computers don't work and you're not going to get to work in time and don't sign that contract yet, although those things are true. It's about those things go wonky so that you are forced to slow down and look closely at your choices and where they're coming from. What are they about? Are you coming from integrity, like this card is asking us to and encouraging us to? Are you coming from authenticity for you, from your soul? Is it really authentic, the thing you're choosing? Or is it addictive, repetitive, and avoidance-based? That's something for all of us to be looking at all the time. So retrogrades are about reviewing our choices. It's about slowing down so you can go, do I really want this shit? Do I really want this person in my life? Do I really need this job? Do I really want that food? Do I need, how much alcohol do I really need? All of it. Money, power, prestige, all of it. So let's review. In the recent past, you've had some kind of opportunism, some kind of opportunity, some kind of financial abundance, and or you've experienced the abundance of acting authentically from your truth, living into your highest self, which has led to the present moment of you diving into the unknown. We don't know what's around the corner, but the card is telling us and consciousness is telling us we're safe and we're protected. You can jump into the unknown and feel safe about it because you're protected. That's what the present moment is. But know this, as you dive into the unknown, you're going to be confronted coming around the corner with hitting rock bottom. This is the card, the upside down, as the reading said, has everything to do with addiction. So just be prepared to be confronted with whatever you're addicted to coming around the corner here. Remember, addictions, let's talk a little bit about addiction. Addictions are everything we do in our psyche to avoid being present to our emotional experience. So you can be addicted to television, video games, masturbation, power, money, status, food, sex, drugs, alcohol, thinking certain patterns of thought, arrogance, low self-esteem, too high self-esteem. You can be addicted to all kinds of shit. Addiction is any attempt that the psyche is making to dissociate you or distract you or pull you away from your own emotional experience, your authenticity, and reality on reality's terms. Reality on reality's terms. Your addictions take you into fantasy land, dissociation, a place where you get to have whatever you want on your terms. And that's not really how it goes for a lot of us here. Some people, let's be real, do get to live an entire lifetime just stamping their feet, throwing fits, and getting everything they want. But I'll tell you something, those people are coming back again to learn what else is possible. The rest of us who are on a spiritual path, and let's be honest and transparent, allow me to be, please. Allow me to set the tone for all of us to be as honest and vulnerable and transparent as we can all stand to be. I would not be on a spiritual path if my own choices did not create suffering for me. I only know any of the shit I know and have gained any of the wisdom I have, and I've learned how to talk to consciousness directly through the Akashic records, and have been to 3 healing schools for 4 years each because of a lot of pain that I created for myself, and because of a lot of pain that I experienced because of the karma I walked into this life with. So I've hit rock bottom 700 times on many different levels in many areas of my life, and that's how I know of which I speak. That's why I'm on a spiritual path, not because I'm fucking better than anybody. People love to give people who take spirituality a hard time because they love to say, oh, you think you're better than me because you're so evolved. No, I had to get evolved, motherfuckers, or I was gonna die. That's it. The lower you sink in this reality, the higher you have access to go. That's how reality works. When you've hit fucking bottom a lot, if you surrender and connect with spirit or consciousness, it will take you pretty fucking high, and you will be goddamn evolved, and you will have strong boundaries, and you will have time for zero bullshit from people. That's what happens if you walk the path of evolution, if you wake the fuck up. So this is not about superiority. Spirituality is not about, and should never be used. By the way, if you ever watch people using their spirituality to have power over you, that is a person misusing their spirituality. But don't mistake somebody being in their power for using power over you. You have to understand the difference. Somebody in their power should hopefully ideally be empowering you to be in your power. That's what I'm aiming to do here. But if me being in my power means you have to not be in your power, well, then I have a problem. I'm doing something weird. But you got to look at, what does you being in your power really mean? Are you coming from victimization? Are you coming from entitlement? Are you coming from arrogance and pride and ego? Well, that's not power. Are you demanding something that nobody said you could have? That's not power. That's ego, arrogance, pride, lies. So there's a lot more to say about what is true power. We'll get into that another time. Thank you all for being here today. Let's see, what do I have for you? Tonight is opening night. Come see Mary Poppins, if you'd like to, at Players by the Sea. I play Miss Andrew. She's the evil, evil lady trying to poison the children. Very fun. Let's see. Writing in Alignment. One of my online writing classes begins next week. We meet on Thursday evenings. It's a group of people that have been writing together for some time. If you have a writing project, it's a great class to join to really get it done. Comedians come, sketch artists, novelists, essayists. I have a client, student, friend, wonderful woman who's recently published in the New York Times. She's there in the class. It's a place to have accountability for your writing, to make sure you get it done, and also to get some professional feedback on what's going on and to ask the questions you have. We also write together once a week, separately outside of class, which is a great way to make sure you're getting the writing done. Star Beings has already started, but you can miss the first week if you want to join us next week. Chat with me about that. That's my mid-level to advanced energy healing class. We have to have a chat before you're allowed into that class, but I'm happy to chat with you if you think that's for you. In that class, we do deep and profound trauma healing, past life clearing, karma healing, anything and everything that needs processing. We use EFT tapping and divine light transmission through the Akashic records to heal your stuff. OMA Pittsburgh, OMAPittsburgh.org is an awesome organization through which I teach another class. Right now it's called Waking the Sleepers. That's Wednesday night. That's my affordable energy healing class. It's a bigger class, lots of people. This time I think we have about 30, 35 people. So you get a little bit less personal attention, but boy, do we go deep and boy, do we go fast. We also started that this past week, so you missed the first class, but you can join a week late, 5 weeks online. Go to omapittsburgh.org to learn about that. On January 29th, I'm producing a stand-up comedy show that you really seriously need to see. You need to see it. It's January 29th at First Coast Comedy. Check out firstcoastcomedy.com. Ross Padgett, headlining comedian, tours nationally. He'll be our headliner. Dale Evans. Donald Evans is our feature. He's also a nationally touring headliner, and he also just won Funniest Comic in Florida. He's our feature, so we're very lucky to have him in a feature spot. And Marcus Crespo, the famous, the infamous, the locally talented love of everybody's life, is hosting for us, and it's kind of his night, his hosting gig. So come see some Marcus, some Donald, and some Ross. It's gonna be an excellent freaking night. Your tickets are available at Eventbrite and or firstcoastcomedy.com. And my stand-up comedy class, if you want to learn how to write stand-up comedy jokes, if you're sick of like not really knowing why some of your material doesn't work, if you want to really understand joke structure and have a place to come learn joke structure and then repeat it and practice it on stage in a safe environment where I'm going to really tighten the screws of your stand-up comedy abilities, you want to join us there. We start January 22nd, Sundays. Firstcoastcomedy.com for info about that. I love you.